Okay, come on in, you guys. We are back for another story time from the car today. We are on part four of the story I couldn't tell you until now. So you guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, leave me a comment. You know I'm going to engage back with you, and also share the video, you guys. So I may be talking a little funny today because, guys, look at this. Why? My tooth hurts, so now my face is swollen. I said, my goodness, I'm trying to be on top of my business and stuff, and here my daggone tooth done swelled up. But we gonna press on anyways, honey. I'm not going for it. Okay, so you guys, I'm driving to go get me something to eat. Just got my little hair curl. Look at this. Look at this right here. So we're going to get us something to eat, and then we're going to go in the house. But I wanted to do this video before I get in the house. Also, sorry for the late upload, you guys. I think I need more space on my phone again, because that video from yesterday took 3 hours to load. I did that video in the morning time, and it took 3 hours to load. So hopefully this doesn't take as long. Okay, so here we are into the retaliation thing. Nothing at the job is really getting better. It's actually starting to get a little hostile due to the fact that the supervisor is telling the other employees what we said and what's going on with HR. He was the only one that was under investigation. Other people were being asked questions as well, you know, so they can gather information, yada, yada, yada. But he told them, and so now things are getting hostile. They're starting to unplug things. You're writing people up for no apparent reason, and the ones that you are writing up, if it was a reason, I won't say no apparent reason, but if there was a reason, you wasn't doing the same with the other co-workers that had issues in the same area. Okay, so by this time, we didn't hear anything back from the big people that was from out of town. We didn't hear too much back from the HR person, and it's progressing. At this point, we figure they're not going to do anything. They're all in cahoots. They're all friends. They're all family, or bed buddies. This is what's going on, and if we're going to get anything done, we're going to have to go to an outside source outside of HR. As I mentioned, HR only looks out for the company. It don't care nothing about you, and that's fine. Do your job, but I got to do my job. So we decided to take it to the next level and go outside to what do you call that company? EEOC. So we took it to the next level. So we contacted them. They were booked, honey. The sad part about it, honey, they were so booked because obviously we ain't the only ones, that's being discriminated against in America, or have issues with their workers, with their employer. It was a lot of it was booked. And so me and my son, well, all four of us did it. Me and my son got our appointments, right? So he got his appointment before me, which was in April. So he did his appointment, and the reason for them doing it was to see if you had a case, or they talk to you and see if it's supposed to go any further. I take that back. He had an appointment like in March, and so they found out you got a pretty good case, man. And so they took it to the next level and said, well, we're going to do an investigation with them. In April. And this is where they pull in the company and you, and they do a mediation to see if you can come to some type of agreement. So they do that. There is no type of agreement that these two can come to. Everything that they said, my son had a rebuttal and proof for it. They came with an employer lawyer. This area really stinks that I'm driving through, you guys. I am so sorry. My goodness. Did I step in something? My God, it stinks here. So, anyways, he went through that process, and so now, okay, we can't mediate. You're not willing to admit anything. He has his proof. You saying what you're saying. You're not going to accommodate him. We even asked to be put on a different rotation from this gentleman while this was going on. They told us that they did not have any openings on the other rotation, which they did. Because remember, they let go of my daughter and they let go of my daughter-in-law. So there was 2 openings on the other rotation that we could have went to. They refused to let us go. So what I found out later was that they talked to 2 people that was on night shift and told them to come to morning shift so that they could take the 2 spots. So we would be stuck on the shift with the same supervisor, because eventually you just wanted us to either quit or to be fired. So you wasn't trying to accommodate us whatsoever. So they're playing games. So then I had my appointment, and my appointment was in June. So now my appointment was in June, and then maybe like the following week I was going out of the country to Punta Cana. And so I had my appointment in June. The gentleman called me at whatever time it was that we were scheduled to talk, and we sat there and talked. Mind you, this gentleman was super nice. He was not of my race or whatever, but he was super nice. And we just were talking, and he, I'm explaining everything. I'm telling him and this and that and da-da-da-da-da. And he says to me, he says, Sherry, I can write this up for the retaliation. He said, I can't write something else up because they didn't write you up. They reprimanded you, but they didn't put it on paper. And I said, okay. He said, but I could do something with retaliation. He said, but I don't know if it's really going to stick. He said, now because I explained a little bit about my son. He said, now he's solid because of the actions that they took against him. He said, and they put their actions in paper. He said, but for you, these were just things that was done to you, but you never got written up. You never, was on probation. You never got any of those things. So it's kind of your word against theirs. And he said, let me ask you, Sherry. He said, do you want to pursue this, or do you want to just let it go? He said, I'm going to tell you something. He said, there's plenty of jobs out there. He said, I know this is probably not something that you want to hear. He said, but from the way you're talking, you sound like you're a good worker and everything, and you care about people. He said, but if a company doesn't want to treat you right, Sherry, he said, go find something different. And this is what this man said to me. He said, Sherry, we're hiring. He said, we're hiring. I said, really? He said, I can give you the website. He gave me the website. He told me the position that they're hiring for. And he said, we could be co-workers one day. He said, but do you really want to pursue this? Because I don't think it's really going to stick after the initial investigation. And I heard something tell me, let it go. I said, oh, no, honey, no, sir. No, Lord, Holy Spirit, you ain't talking to me today about let it go. No, you tell them to let it go. And so I told him, I said, I want to pursue it. Going against what I heard, he said, okay. I said, okay. He said, all right. So I had an hour with you. He said, I got another, client that I'm supposed to call. We'll go ahead and pursue it. I said, okay. So say we talked at 10 o'clock, right? So he had his next appointment at 11. And so 12 something, about 12:10, my phone rings, and it's the guy from the place again. He says, Sherry, this is such and such from, EEOC thing. He said, I really want to ask you again. He said, for some reason, I can't let this go. He said, I really want to ask you again, do you want to pursue this? And I said, I'm so glad you called me back, because what he didn't know, within that hour, I had started praying, and it was like, let it go. And I was so upset about letting it go, because I feel like we're the victims, and you're telling me to let it go as if it's okay. I felt like dropping it would mean that they first won, second that, it is what it is. And here, I just felt defeated. And I told him, I said, I'm going to let it go. He said, he was like that. Sherry, I'm telling you. He said, something just kept nagging me to call you back. And I said, I'm going to let it go. And I told him, I said, hey, maybe we'll be co-workers one day. He said, maybe we will. That would be awesome. So we got off the phone, you guys, and I was so mad. I was so mad. And then after that, I went on vacation. I want to say June the 6th or something like that. I'm on vacation. And we got there on say it was a Friday or I don't know what day it was. 7 days, whatever day me and this guy was on the phone. 1 week later, I get a phone call while I'm on vacation from this weird number. Now, I'm not answering no weird numbers. I ain't got to be on vacation not to answer no weird numbers. I'm not answering it. And so then I get an alert from the app that the job has an app. And we get, you get emails and stuff, and it'll say, hey, you got an email and this, you got an email, you got something that they sent you. I go look at the email, you guys, and it said, we regret to inform everybody that we made the decision that comes from a long yada, yada, yada. You know how they do the whole spiel. We're letting you know that the plant is closing June of next year, which was this year. The entire place is getting closed. Yeah, that's how it was. And so I called my son. I said, did you check your email? He was like, no. I said, the entire place is closing. He was like, what? I said, they just sent down a whole spiel, corporate spiel of, we regret to inform you, yada, yada, we are closing. He said, you kidding me? I said, man, listen, they closing. And so we got that notification, but it still wasn't over. It still wasn't over. They still were picking. They more were picking with my son versus me. I don't know if I got a scour on my face. Don't mess with me. But the guy was really gunning for him. He was really gunning. This man, I believe, don't like black people, but he especially doesn't like black men. And go figure that out. Go figure that out. So he kept gunning for my son. So what he did was he came up one day and asked my son to go work in a different department because we didn't have very much to do with the labels. But the different department that he was wanting him to go work in, he was not trained for that. You had to work with all different type of chemicals and all kinds of stuff. And so my son told him, I don't want to work in that area. Well, if you're part of the company, you got to be a team player. And my son said, no, that's not within my job description. My job description per the handbook is such and such and such. He's like, this is a whole nother job that you're wanting me to do. And I don't have to do that other job. And plus it's chemicals and you ain't gonna train me. And so he got upset because my son wouldn't go in there and he sent him home. But remember, my son was on a final. He was on a final. And if you know, he was on a written final. And so he sent him home. So when my son came back the next day, they pulled him in the office. No, he wasn't on a written final. He was the step before the final. And so they said, you went home early. He said, no, I was sent home early. He said, but you left. He said, no, I was told to leave. There's a difference. So they said, well, we could suspend you, which would have been the next step. Remember, I told you it was 5 steps. They skipped over that. They said, but what we'll do, we're going to put you on a final. He said, but you're supposed to suspend me. He said, first of all, I did not leave early on my own. I was sent home because he's telling me to do a job that's outside of the scope of what you hired me for. And so they said, well, we're still going to put you on a final. Okay, fine. So by this time, my son's livid. He's livid because you just act like I left on purpose when I was sent home and I cannot control being sent home. You should have suspended me until you investigated it, then found out, okay, we can't push him up to a final because he didn't leave on his own. You told him to leave. And why are you asking him to do a job that's outside of the scope of what he's supposed to be doing? Going from cutting material to fooling with acid and all kinds of acetone and all kind of crazy chemicals is a total different, job to do. So they put him on a final. And so the guy just kept picking with my son, coming over there, watching him. Are you going to finish this job? Can you hurry up? Why is it taking you so long doing your paperwork? Just all kinds of stuff. And by this time, my son said, Mommy, I can't do it. I can't do it. He said, I'm telling you right now, I'm about to knock him out. He said, I'm about to watch him go to the bathroom and knock him out in that bathroom and walk out like I ain't did nothing. He said, I can't do it. He looked me in my eye. I was like, please don't leave, because I don't want to be there by myself, please. He's like, I gotta go. And so he left. And so remember I told you about the other girl that was there, the other black girl that used to hang out with us. When she started hanging out with us, they started gunning for her. So they started getting her on her attendance and all this type of bull crap. And she ended up not coming back. She quit. And she had been there for like 6+ years. So now I'm there by myself, you guys. It's just me. And I'm pissed. But yet I'm determined. I'm pissed, but I'm not going to show you I'm pissed. But I'm determined. You're not going to run me out of here. And I mean it. And I stayed. I think my son left in May of last year. And I made it all the way until February. Yeah, February 7th was when I was laid off. I made it to February. And when I left out of there, let me tell you how sometimes you'll be vindicated through what you go through. When I left out of there, I was the top runner of the company. There was not one thing I couldn't ask them for that I didn't get. I asked for more money on the retention thing because they wanted us to stay an extra week, and they gave us extra money, and it was a large amount that they gave us to stay 1 week on top of my pay. They asked me probably about 2 to 3 times, would I relocate with the company? Told them no. Then they told me, they offered me about 2 times to come and go to the company. There's another company within this city that I could have went to. They offered me a job there. I told them no. I want to get up out of here, and I want to go. And I stood my ground against everything and stayed. And I stayed not because I couldn't find a job somewhere else. I can get hired anywhere. I stayed because I'm not going to let you push me out of this position. I deserve to be here. I don't care what the color of my skin is. I deserve to be here. I have a right to be here. And how you feel about whoever did you wrong or whoever put in your mind that black people are this and folks are that, I don't know who put that in your mind, and I don't care. You're not going to run me out of here. I'm going to leave when God says it's time for me to go. And when I leave up out of here, baby, you best believe I'm going to have a bag full of cash. And the cash I got wasn't my cash, it was the company's cash. So I left out of there, you guys. I left with the retention bonus that you got for staying until the end. I left out of there with my severance pay. And I left out of there with my whatever time I had accumulated. I left out of there with my money. And I left out of there with the ability to be able to get unemployment, and they was not going to fight us for it. And that, honey, was the story that I couldn't tell. But them folks, baby, I've never in my life experienced no stuff like that. So will I go back to work? Maybe. Honey, I'm be rich this year, daggone. I'm be on TV. And I want to be the employer, not the employee. It's sad because people come to work to work. I come there to work. I don't come there to be your friend. I come to do my job, make my money, and I want to go home. But if people have a thing that they want to bother folk, they want to pick with people, for whatever reason they want to pick with people, it is what it is, and we got pretty much singled out. And I stayed. I stayed for my whole entire family. Baby, when I left up out there, I was the last black woman in that raggedy company. The last black person in that company. And one of the ladies that was so adamant that she didn't like me and all of that old different crap, baby, I stood right there, baby. She thought, yeah, they're going to get rid of her because she done brought so much hell to this company. Baby, I run circles around you and you've been sitting there for 15 plus years. Get out of here. And so that is the story, you guys. And I felt a major woosah after leaving up out of there. It was a major woosah. So yeah, I ain't going back to no work for nobody, baby. No, side, no, ma'am, I ain't going back to work for nobody, honey. Them folks done about got on my nerve. We gonna ride this out till the wheels fall off. You guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. As I mentioned, it'll be some more content. Why? Because, honey, I got time now. And we're going to get this uploaded before I get off of here. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notification. Get the videos a thumbs up, you guys. And have a great and amazing day. Peace.